So I still have some other flag data that I need to review, and those are the data that were flagged due to out of range concentration values, either high or low, and the consecutive measurement differences. So I'd like to look at a chart again, like I did for my ozone data, to review this data. So I'm going to go ahead and make this form smaller. And I'm going to go into the fast track by clicking on the title bar. And then I'm going to click on Reports and Charts, and I'm going to make my selections in the input required area. And this time I'm going to be looking at PM 2.5, so I select S98, my sampler ID of INPM25, my pollutant of PM 2.5, and my sampling year of 2015. And again, the toolbox automatically populates the date range, and this happens to be the date range I want to look at, so I can leave this as is, and I'm going to click on the hourly concentration chart and see what it looks like. So this is how my PM 2.5 data look in chart format, and I noticed this very, very negative point here that definitely needs to be invalidated. This definitely looks like data that's not valid. Also, you'll notice this big gap here, and that is because I already invalidated that data due to the tape error, and this shows up as a gap on my chart. I don't see anything else erratic about the chart, so I'm going to leave my HD30 and my HD6 flags. I'm going to leave those as valid data because I don't see anything erratic on this chart, and I know I need to invalidate this spike here, but I'm not going to invalidate my HD6 and my HD30 values. So I am going to close the chart by clicking on Close Print Preview since I'm done reviewing it for now, and I'm done with this form for now, so I'll click on Exit Form. This is maximized now, so I'm just gonna make it smaller so I can see what's behind it. And here is my final data validation form. And I'm going to click in the title bar to bring it to the front, and then I'm going to maximize it. So I want to invalidate that one very negative value. So I'm going to click on the View Only Qualified Data button to go ahead and invalidate that. This is strange. Everything's already invalidated here. Oh, you know what? Now I realize what's going on. So I forgot to change the range back to the entire data set, and this was the range for the tape error. So I forgot to change that. I need to do that to see the other data in my data set. So I can close this query by clicking on the lower X. And now I need to change this date range back to my entire data set. So my data set started on 1/5/2015 at 8 a.m. So I'll make that change. I'm going to begin typing 1/5, and that takes me to the first record. I select that, and in this one, my data set ended on 1/19 at 7 a.m. So I'll begin typing 1/19. And then I can see 7 a.m. here. And now I'm back in my entire data set. So now when I view only qualified data button, I'll see the other data besides those that were only flagged due to the tape error. So here I could see that really negative value. This was that -15 value. So I am going to invalidate that by clicking in the invalidation code field for that record. And then in the drop-down box, I'm going to select machine malfunction. And that data has now been invalidated. So I have some more data points that have the flag of R, meaning the concentration was out of range. And these values are lower than the MDL, but they're not excessively low that would indicate a malfunction, and all the QC checks were passing. So I'm going to leave these as valid, and I do that by leaving the invalidation code field blank for those records. So just remember that EPA wants all the data, even negative values, as long as your QC checks passed and you consider the data to be valid. Some negative values in a 24-hour period may be necessary to generate a valid daily average, and the manufacturers have conducted side-by-side tests with filter-based FRMs that show even some negative values are necessary to average out to be comparable with the FRM. So AQS accepts values down to the EPA absolute minimum for the sampler, and for my sampler, that's -10 micrograms per meters cubed. And if you need to investigate the absolute minimum value for your sampler, you can click the MDL link on on the Toolbox form that lets you assign flags during data import. So since I'm not going to invalidate these data that are low but not excessively low, I'm just going to quickly scroll through my data and see if there's anything else that I need to invalidate. Consecutive measurement difference, and I decided not to invalidate those based on the chart, so those are fine. And these again are low but not excessively low, so everything looks good. There's no more data that I need to invalidate, so I am going to record in my database logbook that I completed the final data review for PM 2.5 data spanning 1/5/2015 at 8 a.m. through 1/19/2015 at 7 a.m. And it's important, remember, that you write down that you completed the final data review process, because for some data sets you might not have any data that you want to invalidate, and you might forget that you even did the data review. So it's important that you write it down in your logbook that you actually did the data review. That's not the case for me for this particular data set, because I had 77 records due to a tape error and 1 record due to an excessively negative concentration value. So I record that I've invalidated those data in my database logbook. And I also note that I did not invalidate the records with only a HD flag, or those records with R flags that were below the MDL but not excessively low. And I note that I did a chart and saw nothing unusual, and that completes the process for PM 2.5, and I can go ahead and close my query by clicking on the lower X button in the upper right hand side of your screen.